I couldn't be any more excited right now.
Those hands were filled with poop-stained underwear, which he allegedly smeared on the face of his victim.
Do you realize what percentage of your opening conversations are about bathrooms, Merrill?
Sometimes when you look through the little hole between the stalls, you can see another guy. You should just look him in the eyes the entire time.
I think you have the wrong expectations for what's going to go down here. We're going off the rails here. Maybe football instead.
As always next year.
Happy World Vegetarian Day, everybody. Welcome to the Sandlot Cast, brought to you by DraftKings.com and FanDuel. Both. For those of you that have not heard about these sites, you can go play one-day fantasy and become a millionaire. It's that easy. This is a podcast about our uber-competitive fantasy football league, and with me this week, I've got my good friends Anthony and Hillers. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
Hey, I think we're getting sued now that you mentioned all that crap on the internet.
Well, no, we're not. No, we're good. Everybody else is advertising them. They can't possibly be paying all these people to advertise them.
I think I saw it on a pack of Fritos today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but anyway, guys, dude, week 4, here we go. Doubleheader week coming up. How's things going fantasy football-wise for you there, Ant?
I've already started the meltdown.
You are 3-1, you know, right?
Nothing is broken in my household yet, except for my ego, my heart, and my hopes for any kind of championship hoisting this season.
So did you just put recording Anthony up from last year? Are you actually live right now, or is this just a recording of Anthony from week 4?
It does seem like a recurring thing. It does.
Hillers, how about you, man?
Yeah, I some of it's just how we are with fantasy football, I know, but I've never, I think, felt so grim to be 3-1 going into the doubleheader. I feel like there's just so little hope, when you're already looking at your tight ends being like, one of those could be a flex, right? It's like, that's bad. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah, it's weird that I'm 2-2, and I feel better about my team than both of you guys do with 3-1. So
it's weird because I think if you win at the beginning and then lose one, and you kind of you feel like you're on the slide, but Mike, you started down and now you're on the up and up. You had a good week last week, and being on the up and up feels pretty good.
It does feel good.
I just don't know where to go. That's my problem. Is usually
you gotta go to the up and up, dude. It feels good on the up and up. Go there.
I just won. I don't know how to get any more up.
But I don't know what to tell you.
I feel like this is my cap, and Aaron Rodgers isn't going to throw 5 touchdowns every week. So
you sure
I
about
need to
that?
figure out something else.
I know. But the other thing so coming in, we did our divisional reshuffle again this year, and we all kind of had our preconceived notions about divisions. And now that we're 3 weeks in, 4 games in, basically a fourth of the way through the season here, what do we think about divisions? Are they about what we thought, or are things a little different?
I just don't think that you can predict it. I think that's what we learned over the past couple of seasons of trying to maybe trying to fix it, and then going this year. I mean, it's just it goes topsy-turvy. I mean, look at our returning champion Dave, 0-4, and his team looks.
No. Grimes.
Grimes is a returning champion.
Oh,
although he doesn't look substantially better.
Yeah,
you're just used to Dave being the champion.
Well, Grimes' team looks better than Dave's, but still not great. So it just goes to show, this game is it's a big boatload of crap.
Yeah.
That middle division there is more competitive than I expected. I mean, I thought
which is the middle division? Because I think it's different for each.
Oh, okay. It's the one with Nick and Ant and Andy and JD, except for JD, obviously.
Well, of course.
At 0-4, it's a lot more competitive than I expected. People managed to, a couple of the early season surprises are on those rosters, and people have done a good job. Keeping their teams up and maintained to get high points so far. So that's interesting to see.
Right. And Antonio Brown just dropped a touchdown pass. All right. Well, with that said, guys, let's get into our team overviews here. Let's try to crank through this. We'll do team overviews, and we'll do power rankings and wrap it up so we can get back to football or Heroes of the Storm. Either way, or both. Let's start with where we kind of have to start. I know none of us are too happy about it, but we do have one undefeated team left in the league. This may be I don't know if this is the soonest. We've had so many seasons of this, but It feels like this is very early to only have one undefeated team left in our league. But that team is the Sex Cannons again. Evan again. So we're going to start with him again. So he is 4-0 in first place. He has scored 110 points or more in every single week. Anthony, is this going to continue? What do we attribute this particular success to so far?
I will say it is solely on the shoulders of Julio Jones.
Yeah, it rhymes with Blulio Blones.
Yeah, I have talked to a lot of different coworkers, friends, family, whatever, and anyone who owns Julio Jones this year is killing it. They're all saying, "Oh, I'm undefeated. Julio's the man." And look, Evan always puts together a good fantasy football team, but this year, I mean, it's only Julio that's putting him over the top.
Well, he's also got Matt Ryan too as his quarterback, so he's getting the double dip there with the Julio Matt Ryan points. So.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Hillers, is there any? Is that pretty much it? Is there any kind of weakness or any reason that you don't see this continuing?
Well, I mean, without that, without those two guys, it looks like a pretty mediocre roster. Not mediocre. I mean, a solid roster, but not better than a lot of teams in the league. He traded Demaryius Thomas for DeMarco Murray in the preseason, and that was a total bust.
Well,
Bilal Powell, as long as Chris Ivory in there, is going to have limited value. His other two quarterbacks are fine, but they're not really blowing the doors off. And even Calvin Johnson, who's, still excellent, isn't really Calvin Johnsoning it yet. Not to say that he won't. But I think the one other thing that we neglected to mention is that the Broncos defense has had some pretty spectacular games, thus far. Yep. With 21, 24, and 18. Yeah, and that when you've got a major, like a number one wide receiver numbers coming out of your defense as well, it just makes it a lot tougher to get over the hump for this team. Anthony. But things go bad with Atlanta, we'll see. Julio Jones gets hurt, we don't know.
There are two players on this roster, Anthony, I want to ask you about to see if he should be a little concerned or try to move or stand pat. I mean, he's 4-0, so he can't be too concerned. But DeMarco Murray and Calvin Johnson, is there a reason for concern on either of those players?
DeMarco Murray for sure. I mean, that is supposed to be his bell cow. It's supposed to be his number one running back, and he's acting like not even a flex guy. And then behind that, he has nobody else that can run the ball effectively. That's why he's so reliant on guys like Julio Jones to perform. Now, Calvin Johnson, underperforming, sure, but he still is the number one target in Detroit. And, even Calvin just does flex, that's fine.
Right.
That's okay. But the running game...
As a wide receiver, too, Calvin Johnson's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
But who's going to take DeMarco Murray, though? Per our scoring system, Charles Sims has more points than DeMarco Murray now.
Yeah. He's missed a game because of injury, so there's that.
I'm saying, still, who's going to take him?
Well, it's a buy low opportunity. I think anyone who would take him was just hoping that he'll turn it on. Philly actually looked pretty good last game, so maybe they'll turn it on. Maybe DeMarco Murray will be what he was in the past couple of years.
Yeah, he's going to need to have at least one good game if he wants to trade him.
I will say that Evan did go in. He's highly invested in the Eagles. Not that he has to start Sam Bradford, but he has Sam Bradford, DeMarco Murray, and Jordan Matthews. So he's got a lot of that Eagles offense on his team. And while they haven't been working out, he's still 4-0. He's still got a great squad, and he's got Julio Jones carrying him right now. So.
And it looks like a good pickup with Rashard Matthews there. I put in a bit, but obviously not high enough.
And this is the also the standard week 4. Please answer your trades. I was chatting with Evan today. He said he's put out about 8 or 9 offers, and he's got responses on about 2 of them.
Oh, I just saw that text message. If you're watching this, Evan, I wasn't ignoring you. Although I will send you a message letting you know that I will be ignoring that offer you gave me.
Just answer your trades, people. Please answer your trades. It's so frustrating when you're trying to get something done and people don't answer. So. Again, we've kicked people out of the league for this before, and we will kick you out as well. All right, next team here, Hiller's Trickery, sitting at 3-1 in this same division here. In second place, Anthony, Roddy White's your boy. Is Roddy White done?
Yeah, he's done. He's old. There's a I don't want to say there's a lot of mouths to feed in Atlanta, but he's just...
There's one mouth.
There's one mouth. Well, no, there's one mouth. There's one mouth and one simulated mouth.
Yeah, Roddy, I don't know. He can't seem to get the separation that he's had in previous years. He's, 33, 34 years old? Yeah, I think it's closing time. Pretty soon.
So as far as the rest of Hiller's team here, though, Aaron he got his typical Monday Night Miracle from Aaron Rodgers.
Woo!
Is he should he be concerned at all? I mean, he's got Jonathan Stewart has not been really panning out. Is this a team that you see continuing to succeed at 3-1?
I'm shocked that he is 3-1. I mean, because you look at up and down his year-to-date points, you look at any of the players, and not a single name stands out, with exceptions of Aaron Rodgers. So much like Evan, he's going to live and die by Aaron Rodgers' performances there. And I think the only reason he's sitting at clearly the only reason he's sitting at 3-1 is because of that Monday night performance this past week with 5 touchdowns. So
right.
Hey, good job, Hillers. You got a quarterback. You got one good player, but I really don't like Hiller's roster top to bottom. There's just not. I don't even think there's enough kind of middle ground staying power to keep you afloat should Aaron have a bad game.
Yeah, so Hiller's, as far as when you look at your team, what do you see?
Well, I obviously Aaron Rodgers is always going to be the cornerstone of my entire organization there, but I really see myself living and dying more on Mark Ingram. Because you're right, Jonathan Stewart has not panned out like I liked. The wide receiver situation is looking grim, but I'm hoping for Martavis Bryant to come in and be maybe a flex guy when he gets back in there. And then, of course, I'm always working the trade market and things like that. I haven't been nearly aggressive as I should have been on the waivers, I think, to my costs this year. But maybe by the end of the year it'll come back up. I don't know. I mean, I play some bad teams. We'll see how it pans out. I mean, I right now, obviously, it's better to be 3-1 than not, but I don't differ that much. I don't really see myself as a team that's burning this league down this year, unless some major moves change.
Hillers, why are you hanging on to guys like Cameron, Artis Payne, and Darren McFadden? I mean, is there?
Well, you know how I said I've been losing those waiver bids.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, with Jonathan Stewart's injury history, Cameron Artis Payne isn't a bad guy to have around. He's a handcuff, right? I mean,
he's a handcuff. That's what he's there for.
Well, he's wasting 2 roster spots, maybe even 3, for running backs with handcuffs there. And C.J. Spiller, I'm surprised he doesn't have more of a role in that offense, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know if he's fully healthy yet. They're slowly working him in, and that Saints offense is just totally out of sorts right now. Like, they don't know what to do without Jimmy Graham right now. They're not real sure, I guess, what their I'll use a stupid cliche they say, but what their identity is on offense, which is so dumb to say. But it's like they don't know who to go to in certain situations, right? And they're not real sure how to figure out that offense without Graham right now, especially without Breeze. But yeah, Hillers, I'm kind of like, I don't know. I see you competing for a wild card just because you started off well. You've got Rodgers, and the question is, are some of these guys going to pick it up that should? I mean, Demaryius is a stud. Aaron Rodgers is a stud, and hopefully Ingram can be a stud for you as well.
I've also, despite the Julius Thomas not panning out, I'm really kind of excited about my tight end situation too. It seems like if I play the matchups on Miller and Reed, that's been having an impact, and then having a good kicker and a good defense always helps. Having Seattle in there keeps me sort of in contention if a couple of the other guys fall a little bit behind. Not enough to beat major teams maybe, but enough to beat many teams.
Yeah, sure. 114 points will do it. Next team is Touchdown Jesus. Pritchard is sitting at 2-2 in third place in the division, and after week 1, we thought he was in big trouble after he lost both Dez Bryant and T.Y. Hilton. But here he is at 500 Hillers, and Cam Newton seems to be playing really well, and while his running back situation leaves a little to be desired, Pritchard has proven that he can do pretty well with teams that don't always look so great on paper.
No, absolutely. I am still a little bit concerned about the running back situation. C.J. Anderson hasn't really panned out like I'm sure he wanted to, and as much as he was, I'm sure, excited to get Chris Johnson for $5 with Ellington back, it's questionable how much he's going to have. Having said that, he does have room to maneuver here a little bit. He's been aggressive on the waiver wire. He's got a very solid core of wide receivers. I think it's getting Dante Moncrief at $5 is definitely something that he's going to be happy about.
Yeah, I had bids in on him.
Yeah, and Dez Bryant going out for him was a definite blow. But this is a team I could definitely see competing later on in the season. Tyrod Taylor and Cam Newton, both solid guys. So I'm not seeing too many glaring weaknesses. I'm just not seeing too many outstanding strengths either.
Right.
Hey, can Tyrod Taylor be a quarterback that you hang on to for future? I mean, yeah, okay, we're only through 3 weeks of the season. I got it, but I mean, he's looking pretty good, and
he's legit, dude. He's legit.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor looks good.
I love T-Mobile, man. T-Mobile.
So he's got
at $8 versus Cam at 22. I would keep Tyrod Taylor next
I've been talking to Pritchett about a quarterback trade, actually.
I'm sure you have.
So Anthony, I mean,
Teddy Bridgewater not doing it for you these days?
Well, that's it. I mean, we talked about Dez and Anthony. We talked about Dez and Hilton going down, but he picked up Moncrief, CJ2K, and Lance Dunbar and Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he's been really good on waivers and making good pickups. Is Pritchard? I mean, is he going to be able to get through this Dez thing?
He definitely is stabilized because I thought this was going to be a fire sale team as soon as those guys went down, and luckily for him, T.Y. Hilton didn't sustain that knee injury that we thought he was going to sustain. So he recovered well, but he's still in a tough division, and I think he's close to the bottom of that division. So my thought is he probably will do a good job playing spoiler for somebody, but
it's wild card at best, right?
So he's gonna have a tough decision, I think, in a couple of weeks. Is it, do you blow up your team and look to next year for some really good keepers, or do you hold out and hope you can make a run in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, he's got Evan at the top of his division at 4-0. I don't think any of us will say that we see him passing Evan this season for that. So he's looking at wild card at best, and compared to some of the other teams going for the wild card, we'll see. But if guys like Dunbar and if he can make a deal one of his quarterbacks maybe for another running back or wide receiver, who knows?
What a nice advertisement there.
But but the other thing is he's relying on this week he's starting 2 of the Colts wide receivers, and that's never ideal to start 2 wide receivers on the same team, right? I mean, even if you're talking about Green Bay or Denver, it's never really something you want because when one scores, the other's not, right? It limits when that can happen. So yeah. Okay. Duplex of Mediocrity is the next team in this league, and they have not started well at all. They're 0-4. In last place here. Anthony, is he done? It's been a good season for Dave, or is it curtains? 3 weeks in?
Is he done? So 0-4 is bad. It's bad news. I mean, we talk about that Hiller's miracle season starting from 0-6 and going to the championship. So, yeah, is he completely 100% done? No. But 0-4 is really tough to come out of. And again, we just talked about that division. He's got to go through Evan, he's got to go through Hiller's, and he's got to go through Pritchard. So it's real tough to win here, but I still do like his team. Andrew Luck is going to be better. He can only go up from where he's at now.
He's starting Derek Carr this week, by the way.
He should.
I don't know that I would do that, but it's okay.
I don't know that
he should. Why would you not? I mean,
because it's against Jacksonville. But whatever.
One of them has looked good and one of them hasn't.
And I really can only imagine that Eddie Lacy and Alfred Morris are going to ramp up their production. Eddie Lacy's basically only played 1 game.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper looks solid. And Charles Clay has been a great tight end for him. I am very jealous of that tight end because I can't seem to hold on to one myself. So, I mean, I really like his team. I would start his team the way he's doing it. I just think 0-4 is a really dangerous hole.
Yeah, I would add to that I'm not as sure that Alfred Morris is going to come back as maybe you are. I think we've seen enough out of Matt Jones and that other guy whose name I can't even remember, Cameron something, and that looks like more of a committee situation. And there just seems to be a lot of carries to go around, a lot of guys doing well with the football there. I think he does have really solid players. It's like having Edelman looks just fine as sort of a low end number 1, and Amari Cooper looks like he's only getting better, and the Raiders look like a team that's finally starting to get things on track with Carr in his second year doing as well as he is. And I know he's on the waivers. He picked up Marvin Jones this week. I think he's doing everything he can. Sometimes 0-4 is reflective of bad luck. I'm not saying that this is a winning team, but it's a stronger team than it looks like right now, I think, just because there's enough people here that could contribute, but not enough to win a division or get a wild card, I would think, at this point.
Can you guys hear me? I think I'm back.
Yep.
Yeah, we gotcha. Now, I'm looking at the breakdown. Now, the site, I think, is kind of jacked up as far as the breakdown is concerned, but I don't believe that I don't believe bad luck has hit Dave. I think that he's scored pretty poorly in the past 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, the poor scoring is what I meant. Is like the guys weren't really panning out, having the opportunities that maybe we thought they would at the beginning of the season. Particularly Andrew Luck, who is worth noting again. What is wrong with Indianapolis? Everybody thought they were going to be just tearing things up this year, and that whole team looks like it's just burning to the ground. And he's definitely experiencing the brunt of that. I heard a stat the other day where he'd been hit 300 some times since he entered the league. It was like leagues above the next closest person in that time frame, and it was eye opening or eye closing for Andrew Luck, I guess, because
that's what he's doing when he throws the ball, is closing his eyes.
Yeah, apparently, wouldn't you? I mean, the guy's shell shocked. What can you do?
And maybe too many commercials and not enough football.
Yeah. For some reason, the other thing I'll say is Dave started Dwayne Allen in Week 3, who was inactive, while he had Charles Clay on his bench, which I don't know that it would have made a difference in his particular game, but these are things that you can't really do. And what the heck, Dave? Come on, man. Come on, man. All right, let's move on to the New Hope division, guys. I'm not going to ask questions because while I was disconnecting, I'm sure you guys covered that one pretty well. So
yeah, we did.
Let's move on to a New Hope, and we will start with the first place team in a New Hope division, which is Iron Pirates Miscreant Crew at 3-1. They had 148 points last week, Anthony.
Wow.
Nick is not a team who has traditionally succeeded in this league. Do we think this year may be different?
He's been active on the waiver wire, I think, to a point where he's never been before. Aside from that whole not Sammy Watkins, who's that guy? $78, Sammy Morris. Aside from that issue, he's been going out and he's been grabbing guys that have been helping his team.
Percy Harvin, Le'Veon Bell, by the way.
Percy Harvin. Maybe Tom Rolls. I don't know. I guess maybe there aren't that many.
Was Matt Jones a waiver wire pickup?
No, I guess
he
Matt
drafted
Jones
you.
to draft. Okay, so let me take all that back. He had a great draft, and his guys have been hitting. His wide receivers have been totally on fire, and Carson Palmer's been hot.
Travis Benjamin was a waiver wire pickup. Another one I lost. So
but he's not starting him.
He could. It certainly looks like he could.
Over who?
I don't know.
One of his running
in the
backs.
flex.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he's Peterson and Benjamin.
He definitely has a scary team. I think he can do a little bit better at defense. Considering the points that some of the defenses are putting up, he's got one of the worst in the league right now. I've already played him. I have to play him again. I'm not looking forward to it.
Hillers. Nick's team here is, it seems like Carson Palmer really is the difference maker on this team. He's got Adrian Peterson, of course, and A.J. Green's always great, and Cobb's always great, but Palmer he got for nothing in the draft, right? And that guy's been a top 5 quarterback so far. That seems like the difference to me in this team, right?
Definitely. People were not expecting that, and he is performing absolutely like an elite quarterback. The entire Cardinals team really is just messing people up right now. I think he got better than expected performance out of Carlos Hyde. I mean, obviously he had one game that was huge, but it's the guy with, if he has that every once in a while potential, it might be all he needs to sort of put him over the line here. I mean, I didn't think he'd have much of anything outside of AP out of his running back core here, and Matt Jones has sort of pulled him out of that fire, and then you've got everything you need, including you could pick any one of these guys out on the flex as a wide receiver.
Let's slow down on his RB2s here for a second, because Carlos Hyde looked good in week 1, but then he had 6 points, and then he had 6 points.
Well, and Matt Jones looked good in week 2.
But he had 2 points and 1 point. Other than that, right? So I guess if there's a weak spot, and you can say this about just about any team out there, it's RB2, but so I will challenge you on that particular point, that his RB2s are, while they have put up a big game here or there, they're not really consistently producing.
Mike, I'll say if the floor of your RB2 is 6.1 points like it's been for Carlos Hyde, I'll take that. If that's the floor, No,
Yeah,
I'll agree
That's
with
just
you
a game for Jonathan Stewart.
I'll agree with you on Matt Jones. Matt Jones is boom or bust. But Carlos Hyde again, 6-point floor. I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean it's to me it's Palmer. I mean we knew it. We knew AJ. Like I said, he's got Peterson, Cobb, and AJ Green. We knew those guys were going to be good, right? The question was the rest of this team, and Kelsey has been performing. Palmer has been performing. Hyde killed it in week 1, and like you said, I guess if 6 points is your bad week for a running back, then yeah, that's these days for running backs, I'll take that as bad as the running back position is. So
what do you guys think? Travis Benjamin, legit?
No, I don't think so.
Really? I'm thinking maybe, especially if Manziel's in there.
I don't think that he is. He doesn't have a lot. He has a lot of big plays and not a lot of receptions. So I mean, the majority of his games go for receptions 3, 3, and 4.
Yeah, but you don't need 8 receptions when you catch it once and you go for 70 yards and a touchdown.
It's not sustainable though. I mean, it's just not. You can't rely on those kind of plays. You can't start a guy who gets 2 or 3 catches a game. Fantasy football is about opportunity.
Well, I'm saying we don't know that he can't catch more. It's just that when he catches it, he tends to score large touchdowns, and so he's not needing to score 8 or catch 8 or 9 footballs in a drive.
Who was the running back for the Falcons last year? Who every time he got the ball, like every game, he would have like 1 carry and it would be for like a 40-yard touchdown. What was that guy's name? It was
no one remembers, and that's kind of the point.
Antone something?
Smith? Antoine Smith, maybe?
Oh, that guy. No, that's a guy, like an old guy for the Patriots, wasn't it? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong first name. But anyway, there was a guy for the Falcons last year who did the same thing. It was like every time
it was Smith, Antone Smith for the Falcons.
Yeah. Every time he touched the ball, it would be like a 40. But it was for like 4 weeks in a row, and then like he was done. It's not sustainable. I mean,
I'm just saying, I don't think there's a large enough sample size, and he has. It's not like his first year in the league.
Right, he's been around for a long time,
right?
And he's never done this.
That's the one thing that makes me say, I don't know. But if a quarterback is looking for a guy and they start making things happen, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he would continue to be good.
Okay. Let's move on to EBS here. Also at 3-1 in this division, tied for first place here, but a little behind in the tiebreaker. Hiller's Anthony is panicking and thinks his season is over. What do you think?
I can understand where there would be some panic there. If it wasn't for Antonio Brown, this might be the worst in terms of wide receiver core.
Oh.
That I have seen in this league. I mean, you could understand why he would have high expectations for every single one of those guys, and other than Antonio Brown, not one of them has panned out. And obviously having Tom Brady on your team is a big deal. I think he has some hope. I think he's kind of in maybe like a Pritchardy sort of way and being like capable enough to be a spoiler here. I mean, I see he's working with 2 defenses, both of which are relatively solid. He's got running backs that have at least opportunities, if not success so far. They could certainly have some later in the season, and I wouldn't be surprised. So while I can't say that this is a team that I would be like panicked to play, it's definitely a team that if they put up 100 points and beat a team in a week, I wouldn't be like, oh, where did that come from? Because you can see from each of these guys.
Which he did the first 2 weeks. He did that.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
So to me it comes down to the running backs, right? I mean, if Marshawn Lynch and Chris Ivory don't pan out for this team, and Lynch has traditionally, well, not traditionally, but the past couple of years has been a pretty slow starter. If you look at his numbers, and then he kind of, I don't know, it's like he warms up and kind of gets rolling.
Some kind of mode.
Yeah, some kind of mode of some
like
kind.
Like some sort of different level.
Yeah, like yeast mode or something. But
like he's expanding.
Yeah, oh my God,
that's from the league. No, so Lynch has been a slow starter. I think he's a guy who bounces back. Ivory is a little banged up. He seems like he's always banged up, so we'll see if he can stay healthy. But I think if those 2 guys pan out, I think this team will be fine. Hillers, you've been looking for a wide receiver too for like 15 years, and you've been fine. You've had some success in this league without that. So
yeah, but you want to have something there, You
do. But you can find that. You can find that, like, this week, some wide receiver is going to go nuts, and he's going to be a hot waiver wire pickup next week, and that guy might be good for the rest of the year,
And Tom Brady can pull your team out of a lot of rough situations.
Yes, he can. They're in Gronk U mode this year, for sure. Anthony, you look at your team. I'm going to give you a second here to rant a little bit on what's going on with your team. What you're thinking.
it's difficult to start a full lineup when you don't know if you guys are going to play until Monday night. It seems to be going that way, and then they're active, but they don't even touch the field. It's just real tough to win games that way.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. Week 4 is my big bye week because Brady's out. Brady's obviously my workhorse here, and I do have kind of nicer matchups with Winye and Assassins from my week 4. I think if I can get through this, it'll give some of my guys a little bit of time to heal, and then maybe the guys that I'm relying on late season, like Devontae Parker, and I'm really still hoping for Nelson Aguilar to become those wide receiver 2s and 3s that I can rely on to win. So if I can get through this trough right now, I'm feeling okay, but it's just hard to it's hard to sit through it and not make any moves. I'll say that. Hillers, what do you think about that? I mean, I don't know. It looks like Mike is frozen up there. So
he's out again.
I'm here.
I mean, you got some chances here. I think, yeah, if you can get through this week and your matchups compared to your opponents are good enough that you might get through the doubleheader week, and frankly, you better hope so, because otherwise, your division's looking a little stronger than I expected, and it could be a tough road for you if you end up going even 1-1 out of this week.
Do I drop Andre Johnson? Is he droppable?
Yes, he's droppable.
He is.
Yeah.
God, that sucks.
It does suck.
It does suck. But it doesn't.
I spent a lot of money on that guy.
Well, I mean, it depends, right? Like, there's not a lot out there right now with the upside of Andre Johnson, but man, he looks like a bad tight end right now out there. He's just like this big lumbering dude who gets no separation at all. Yeah, but no, I think you look at your team. You still got an elite QB. You still have an elite running back in Marshawn Lynch. You still have the best wide receiver in the league so far in there, and you have a great defense.
Kicker.
So I think if you can fill in those couple of gaps with your RB2, wide receiver 2, and a flex, I mean, not that you need a ton there because you've got those elite guys in those other positions. I think you'll be okay. You'll definitely be in competition for a playoff spot. So.
I'd like to note that this is week 4, and I've started 4 different tight ends. Every tight end that I start goes down with an injury, and they are out. So
yeah.
I hope that Gary Barnage has good health insurance. Poor bastard.
Yeah. We'll talk after this, Anthony.
Yeah. All right. Winye is our next team here at 2-2. We all thought they had a great draft, maybe one of the top teams coming out of the draft. Sitting at 2-2 in third place right now, and unfortunately he got Aaron Rodgers this week, which is now a verb in this league because of what that effing guy does on Monday nights. Andy was very distraught on Monday night. I was actually on voice chat with him while that was going on. You look at this team.
I could have been a fly on that particular wall.
It has not started as well for him as we thought it might. I mean, he's still 2-2, so it's fine. But is this team maybe not as good as we thought it was?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So first of all, I think what Aaron Rodgers does on Monday nights is actually Olivia Munn and not upset people's fantasy teams. But aside from that. Aside from that, man,
So he got Olivia Munn?
He was Olivia Munn in this metaphor.
Yeah, he was. I'm worried about Andy's team because I don't understand what's happening with it, right? Because top to bottom, I have other fantasy teams that look a lot like his. Russell Wilson was a guy that I was eyeballing coming into this year. Jeremy Hill was supposed to be the man, and now he doesn't even get the ball. LaShawn McCoy. New offense. His guys are getting the opportunities, or they're hurt, or they're not playing. I don't understand. And then Keenan Allen, I think, is doing what he did last year about being boomer bust. It's just real tough. I really like his team, top to bottom, but this year they're not performing.
Yeah, I so far, but it's still early in the season, and I think given a couple of circumstances panning out a couple of different ways, that this team looks a lot more terrifying than its 0.4 is suggesting. For instance, if they ever figure out that they really want to just sort of ride one guy a little bit more than the other in Cincinnati, that would be huge for him. He's got them both.
They have. It's called Giovanni Bernard this year.
Well, we'll see. I mean, we'll see how long that lasts. I mean, that sort of started, like Jeremy Hill had started out fine, then had a couple of fumbles, and now he's been sort of, they put him on the rehabilitation track. But I could definitely see him coming back later in the season here. It's not out of the question. They clearly have invested in him as part of the future there. I don't think they want to keep trying to ride Gio for the next 3 or 4 years. Maybe I'm wrong there, but either way, if they just sort of make a decision and run with it, it'll put him better off. As it is, who do you start there? And they're splitting the points so far on the season too, so it's really tough to know. Isaiah Crowell not quite doing what you thought, but maybe that kicks up a notch. Maybe Mike Evans gets a little more attention and love in Tampa Bay as opposed to Vincent Jackson. Larry Fitzgerald is doing just fine. In fact, Larry Fitzgerald and the Cardinals defense, his game would have looked a lot worse if those two hadn't combined for almost 60 points last week.
Yeah, but look at his bench. He got Steve Smith and Keenan Allen on his bench who combined for 55 points.
Yeah, so there's points to be had there.
And he lost by like.
I'd like 14.
Yeah,
yeah. But there's points to be had, and there's situations that could improve without someone having to be hurt. And when a team has, a top wide receiver and Rob Gronkowski and maybe the best, highest scoring defense thus far in the league, and I feel like it's a team that can compete, and I would still view as a major threat going forward.
I don't want to understate the importance of the defense on this team. He has there. I'll read you the top 3 defense points wise this year: 63 from Denver, 56 from Arizona, and then 37 is next from the Jets. So so you have such a separation from 2 defenses, and I think that's really contributed to a lot of the power for Andy's team here. Having one of those top 2 right now has gotten you wins, and I think it's done that for Andy.
Definitely. I think the big concern with Andy's team, there's 2 players. I think it's Jeremy Hill and LaShawn McCoy. Jeremy Hill, who has not really done what we thought he would do this year. We thought he would be a top 5 running back, elite player, and those fumbles killed him this year and might have killed his value for the foreseeable future here. LaShawn McCoy, the other one who has never been healthy this year and has not looked good when he's been on the field, and depending on what Carlos Williams does on Sunday, might not be the feature back that Andy thought he was going to be when he kept him for $30-something. So, that's kind of the concern. That said, he's got wide receivers. I mean, my God, he had Steve Smith and Keenan Allen who both scored 25-plus points on his bench. I mean, these are guys he can maybe deal for an RB2 of some kind. Not that anybody has RB2s to give, but these are guys who he can maybe throw into a trade and maybe get some value back if that time comes. So. That's
his problem is he's got nothing but RB2s right now. He needs one of those guys to step up.
Right, that's true.
He's got about 4 RB2s.
Yeah. And who knows with Crowell and Duke Johnson what's going to happen there. But
right.
So he's got some issues. I mean, he does have Giovanni Bernard if Jeremy Hill doesn't pan out, so he's got that backfield at least. But how do you know who to start?
Until he needs him, and then Hill will go off that game, and then it'll be all over again.
Chuba Ebrace, we're going to get to next year. They start out at 0-4. They're in last place. Hillers, why is this team so bad?
Ooh, why? I mean, there's so many reasons. Personality. Just go gettingness. No, I mean, there's a couple of things that haven't really panned out very well for this team. I mean, when you look at the roster, it doesn't seem that terrible. I mean, but I think it's just that he can never get these guys to be scoring points at the same time. He's clearly still looking for something like an elite quarterback. I mean, I keep hearing Ryan Tannehill's going to be it, and he's been doing well, but not well enough to really pull him out of the fire if he gets down from his other guys. And I think we've seen flashes of excellence early on in the season from Amir Abdullah and the Lions, and maybe if Joseph Randle gets more points, maybe if they decide in Atlanta who they want their running back to be, then he looks a lot better. He does have guys in his wide receiver that could help bolster him here. I mean, it's relatively, you can say if Andy had all RB2s, that all he has is wide receiver 2s, except for Emmanuel Sanders maybe, or Allen Robinson, Jarvis Landry. I can see all those guys becoming great. They just haven't quite busted into that 50, 60-point territory yet on the season that I hope. But really, just work on getting all your roster spots filled. The Miami Dolphins defense is not helping you. They're terrible.
Yeah.
and you need something else. Having -1, -4 points when somebody else might have 15 or 20 is a lot to come back from, and
All
it's
right,
something
Pete,
small.
time's up. Anthony.
I just noticed that every team that we've said is good and every team that we said is bad, there's been one difference, and it's having a good quarterback. And this is a team that just does not have a good one right now through 3 weeks. I don't know who to start. They both don't look particularly good. A lot of turnovers, actually, for both Tannehill and Rivers. And I think that's the primary concern. I do like his running game. I think Freeman and Randall are your number one and number twos that you can feel comfortable starting with every week. They're okay.
Until Tevin Coleman is starting.
And I like a Landry, Robinson, and Sanders, core receiving.
Yeah.
And Ebron's solid, but it's the quarterback issue. And
that's why I asked, like, why is it so bad, right? I mean, he's got these 3 running backs, but and he's got a elite receiver in Sanders, and he's got some solid other receivers that you can kind of count on, right? I mean,
well, like I said, it's the quarterback, but I'll also heavily agree with Hillers on that defensive thing. God, the Miami defense is terrible.
Yeah.
They've put up negative points 2 weeks in a row, and when other defenses have scored 63 points already this season, how can you compete?
Yeah, when you put up -1 versus the Jaguars as a defense, it's time to go. That's a bad sign. So, but yeah, I just JD is typically a team. His team is usually a team I hate and I don't like, and I think we all knew coming into this that he seemed like he was going kind of for the long haul with his draft picks, right? A lot of young guys, a lot of speculative guys, and he did that with his running backs, and those seem to be panning out between Abdullah, Joseph Randall, and Devontae Freeman. And even his receivers, they just didn't perform this week. But I don't know, man. It's just weird how this team is 0-4. I don't feel like they're an 0-4 team. But it's just he hasn't been able to find a way to win. Yeah. So keep trucking, JD. Keep on trucking, man.
Yeah, he'll spoil something for somebody.
He will. He's going to have some big weeks with this team for sure. Maybe he can talk to Pritchard about a quarterback or something.
Maybe.
All right, Return to the Jedi division, our last division here, and we start with the first place team in that division, which is the Assassins.
Really? That's something. Has that sentence ever been uttered on this podcast? Ever?
No.
I don't think so. I don't recall it ever being said.
He is not first place in my power rankings, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, me neither.
So I'm back. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let's all take a moment to celebrate the Marcus Mariota era of Brad Waston's team.
Yeah, look at him finally getting a quarterback that looks like he's worth something. That's very exciting. That's actually huge for a franchise. And so people are going to ask you to trade him, Brad. I would strongly recommend that you do not do that. It's $7.
Brad, I'll take him. I'll give you Winston for him.
I bet you will. So I'm back again, by the way. I don't know. I'm going to try to speed through this so I don't keep losing my connection. But
oh, looks like he just dropped off.
He dropped off.
6 weeks, but that's kind of the big news for this team. But the good news is he's got Marcus Mariota. The bad news is Mariota's in a bye this week, so he's got to find a quarterback.
Womp womp.
Did he pick one up this week? I didn't even see.
He has Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Okay, that's just whatever. If you got to find a fill-in guy, there could be worse.
It could be worse.
So so Hillers Assassins. This is a team high in my power rankings after week 1 here. Actually, we'll start with you, Anthony. Here, high in my power rankings after week 1. I'm a believer in this team, which you'll see in my power rankings this year. How about you, or this week?
No, this week he's absolutely the worst. I mean, his starters are horrendous. He's starting Todd Gurley. I mean, we don't even know that he can.
Right.
He didn't do anything like. What? His team looks terrible. It looks like if you randomly selected guys that are on other leagues' waivers right now and put it in a team, that's what it would look like. It's awful. It's awful. I'm sorry.
It's really bad. It's really bad. I mean, maybe if Andre Ellington comes back and is the unquestioned starter there, that there's something to garner, but then you're just losing all the David Johnson points, and where do you get any other points out of your running back situation other than DeAndre Hopkins, who's been fantastic? Kendall Wright has been acceptable but a little bit inconsistent, and everybody else is just garbage.
Kendall Wright's on a bye this
Stop.
week too.
How do you say Kendall Wright's? I mean, sure. I guess he went 16-1-16. So
Right.
he's had 2 weeks where he's been great. I will say. I think Kendall Wright's going to be good. I mean, you can't talk about how good Marcus Mariota is and then say his number one wide receiver isn't going to be any good.
Well, I'm not saying he's not going to be any good. I'm just saying we don't know yet if he's going to be getting points week to week to week. I mean, Marcus Mariota certainly looks like one of those guys that can spread around targets, and the risk with that is you don't know that your guy is going to be getting the targets that get big points. It's not a huge knock. I would certainly take him as a wide receiver too, but it's just not enough to save the rest of this team, really. You know, it's where's the sizzle here? With Roethlisberger out, this team is severely injured. I think
but
there's
you just said you like Marcus Mariota, though. I do. So with Roethlisberger out, he's got Marcus Mariota. What's the problem?
Well, because if you have them both, you can play matchups on that, and it's just. He's got less ability to trade one of those two guys away to pick up something else here. I hate his wide receivers. I don't.
You
feel
hate
like
DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, there's one guy, but I said I hated Anthony's receivers too, and he had one guy. I don't like it. Okay. And I don't like his running back situation at all. Some of it's probably personal bias, but it all looks pretty mediocre down the line here. Not enough to come up and be a contender yet.
I will say there's a lot of polarizing guys on this roster for sure.
Yes.
I'm gonna totally disagree with everything you said because I think Roethlisberger's out, but like you said, Mariota looks solid and he's been definitely a viable fill-in. He's had 28-18, 18. Yeah, but after this week, his bye's gone and he can start him the rest of the year. So. As far as running backs go, he's got Blunt sitting down on his bench. I don't know. He's probably starting him this week or not. He should have started him last week. Not that it would have mattered. He lost by 100 points, but
really 100?
Because Nick scored 150. So, I think LeGarrette Blount's role will continue to increase for that Patriots backfield. So, and Todd Gurley, we don't know what Todd Gurley is going to be, but he was probably the most talented running back coming out of the draft this year. I think a lot of people thought that the question was his health. So if that's a guy who can stay healthy, maybe he turns into the guy. And we all liked Andre Ellington coming into the season. He got hurt, but
until we saw David Johnson and Chris Johnson.
Right, but
now you're worried about a three-headed monster more than health issues. I think going forward,
possibly
much as health. There's a combination of factors there now.
So there is a concern about having an RB1. He seems to have a lot of RB2s or RB3s even. So if one of those guys pans out, though, like if Gurley pans out or LeGarrette Blount turns into the 3-touchdown guy that he was for the Patriots, I think this team will be fine. DeAndre Hopkins is a monster. He's the only person they have to throw to in Houston, and he's gonna get like 300 targets this year. And with Mariota being good, he gets the Kendall Wright points as well. So I think this team will be good. I think they'll continue to be good. And if one of these running backs pans out, they're gonna be competing for the division, definitely a wild card spot. Next team, Black Widows at 2-2, tied for first place, but a little behind in the tiebreaker. Bad week 1, started 0-2, and then came back with a good week 2 and 3. Pillars, when you look at the Black Widows, what do you see?
I see an unprecedented frenzy of waiver wire pickups actually panning out for a team, rather than just robbing them of free agent dollars. I think you did yourself innumerable favors with the depth on your team, particularly with Dion Lewis and Carlos Williams. Getting Terrence Williams was a smart pick, but obviously not necessarily the one you'd start. James Jones, you managed to take a team that had a lot of concerns and make it a team where you could almost play to the matchups, and I think that's going to do you a lot of favors going forward. Obviously, you should have somewhat substantial quarterback concerns at this point. Peyton and Denver has been looking not quite right. But other than that, I think you're well set up here to be a solid and occasionally really damaging opponent.
Anthony?
I'm going to agree. It's a strong team, and every waiver move you've made thus far has been awesome. it's hard to believe that you stole Carlos Williams for $1. Man, I know you did it this Sunday, and there was a lot of circumstances, but you did it, and good for you, man. It's a good team.
Yeah, Evan's upset about that. Apparently, there was some just a little, I guess, inside baseball or behind the curtains or whatever. Evan seems to say that his waiver wire claims did not go in order. Otherwise, he would have had Carlos Williams. So that probably means Carlos Williams is going to tear his ACL this week because Evan did not get him. But who knows? If it pans out, then great.
If Evan drops Lockett, then all will be well in the world, and maybe.
Yeah, when he got Lockett, Anthony claimed that he would have him for years. I was like, slow down, guy.
Well, so I had a similar issue with thinking that I was gonna get Lockett, and the waiver didn't process, and then Evan got him the next waiver period. So it just kind of seems like it happened both ways for Evan on this one.
Yeah. As far as my team goes, I will say, Hillers, I'm going to disagree with you on Peyton as far as obviously having concerns about the quarterback position. He's had 22 and 19 the last 2 weeks, which is, I'll take that every week from a quarterback. The first week he did not look good, but they have changed the offense since then, and he is coming out of the shotgun a lot more, which is what Peyton Manning does because he's a statue who cannot move at all. So if they realize, let's just start him there instead of having to make him run there and throw the ball. So the other thing I'll say is with Arian Foster coming back, I feel like I might have the best 1-2 punch of running backs in the league with Charles and Foster. So hopefully that happens this week. But
you got a lot invested in Foster, but honestly, after your pickups, you don't really need it. I mean,
I don't.
Dion Lewis, as long as he's there, and I don't know how long he will be there. That's the
Nobody
thing
does.
with the Patriots running back, everyone could be great. Almost everyone seems to have at least one game where you're like, wow, how could they ever bench him now after such a game? But those guys just keep disappearing, so we'll see. But right now, you're in the highlight times for Dion Lewis. So.
My thought is he'll be the Shane Vereen of this team. When Vereen was there, when he had some value. So we'll see. But
you want to make Belichick laugh? Make a plan.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. But I like where I'm at. I will say Teddy Bridgewater might be on the waivers here pretty soon, people. So if you're looking to pick up old Teddy B,
you're looking for a terrible number 2 quarterback.
Yeah, he has been disappointing to say the least. So all right, moving on here. Also, Matt Prater sucks. Moving on to the Dad Dicks, who are also 2-2, tied for first place, and looking at their team right now. They're a defending champion, and looking at their team, I feel like they might be scrambling a little bit. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, it's with Drew Brees getting injured, and they're saying that he has some potential problems putting zip on the ball. It's worrisome for a quarterback situation on a league that hinges on having a good quarterback. So I'm worried about that for the Dad Dicks. That said, Le'Veon Bell is back, and he looks to be freaking awesome. And Latavius Murray got out of his week 1 funk, his 1 week funk, and he also looks to be freaking awesome. So really good meat there, a lot of meat on those bones. Shore up the quarterback situation. I think he's back in business. Oh, and I will say that Jimmy Graham, they're using him. The Seahawks are using him to find their identity now, and he will start to do. I believe he will start to do the damage that we expect him to do right out of the gate.
I'll agree with that. Yeah, Hillers.
I won't deny that there's potential there, and certainly with Le'Veon Bell coming back, I'm sure Danny feels like he's out of the woods here. But Drew Brees has not looked at all like Drew Brees at times past, and I think it was unrealistic under any circumstances to expect Seattle Jimmy Graham to be New Orleans Jimmy Graham. And I think that is going to have to come back down to earth if he has similar expectations for him. While his running back situation does look very solid, I certainly Sproles and Woodhead are great number 2 guys if you need them there. I think it's maybe time to worry about the wide receiver situation on this team. Nobody here, even though they all were guys who were saying, yeah, he could do good, none of them really have yet.
None of them have, no.
Right, and so that's something to be worried about. And you can't skate forever on hoping Stephen Gostkowski has a big game, And if you've got two running backs or two wide receivers that aren't putting up points in the same week, you're definitely leaving yourself open to be beaten by a more complete team.
Well, so I'll just only disagree only slightly, right? Because Decker, you're looking at a sample set of 2 games. So over the 2 games that he played, 9.7 and 15.7, pretty solid. So I think when he comes back, which could be this week, he will go back to putting up those kinds of numbers, which is good for a wide receiver. Hell, I'd take it for a wide receiver 1. And then he's just got to worry about number 2. And I'm fine to put Vincent Jackson or Nate Washington in that slot with the production that they've had thus far.
Yeah, the potential is not gone. It's not time to hit the large red button here, except for maybe on a couple of these guys. But that it hasn't panned out would worry me if I own this team.
He knew coming in that his wide receivers were a little weak, and I think he mentioned that at the draft. The question is, can his running backs, because I mentioned with my team, I felt like I had a really strong running back core. This team has a really strong 1-2 as well between Latavius Murray and Le'Veon Bell. That's a really good 1-2 core. Latavius Murray is getting a ridiculous percentage of the carries in Oakland, and the touches in Oakland. That offense is focusing through him, basically. So. And then he's got Woodhead in the flex, which Woodhead's an underrated player always. So if he can get some production out of his wide receivers, and hopefully Drew Brees comes back strong, this team might be okay. But I think he's a little concerned right now as far as the passing game goes for his team. Final team in our team overview here is, which it seems like it's always our final team when we do team overviews, is Peanut Butter Jelly Time with Brett. And at 1-3. In last place here, came in. I think one of the main things here is with Justin Forsett, Hillers. But when you look at Brett's team, I don't know. It was a team we were kind of mixed on coming out of the draft. I feel like, and I don't know. I think we might be a little mixed on as well, if not just a little lower on at this point.
I don't remember being sold on it. I think I was probably on the not loving this team camp, and considering that their highest non-quarterback scorer is their kicker, I feel like I'm still sort of on board with that. I mean, he's had guys that are either panning out to be or have the potential to be nice surprises. You obviously $13 for John Brown, that certainly could pan out. Further on in the season, I think he's shown flashes of being a really capable guy. But Forsett obviously hasn't been the number 1 running back that he needed him to be. Through 3 games, he hasn't eclipsed 10 points yet. And while Melvin Gordon might get there, it's kind of tough working with a rookie. You don't know. You don't want to drop him in week 5 only to have them, be the guy everybody's talking about going into next season. But having Frank Gore try to bolster that, and with the situation the Colts are in, obviously he had a big game in week 3, but it seems totally unremarkable down the line here. I mean, there's hope, but not a lot of hope and not a lot of current greatness. Andy Dalton's a good quarterback, but I don't think it's enough for this team.
So he lost Romo, which hurt him. I think that was a big blow for sure. But Anthony, looking at the rest of this roster, I mean, I don't think he was depending on Melvin Gordon, or hoping he had to depend on Melvin Gordon early in the season at least, because he did have Forsett and he did have Frank Gore. I think those were going to be his 1 and 2, and Gordon would be a flex, but he finds himself. I think he's starting Gordon this week. Yeah, Gordon and Gore this week because Forsett has just been terrible. What are your thoughts on Brett's team now versus after the draft?
Well, so after our week 1 or during our week 1 podcast, I think we're forgetting how good his team kind of looked in week 1 because Romo did great. Jason Witten was getting a ton of targets. Alshon Jeffrey was playing. Melvin Gordon, he did he did like a flip and landed on like part of his wrist touched, which ruled him down. But then he got up, he like flipped off of his wrist.
That was an awesome run.
And ran it for a touchdown. I mean, we're forgetting how spectacular he looked. But then since then, the whole team has been mediocre at best.
Yeah,
they've been lackluster. So I don't know. I think Hillers, think you might have said it. It's got the potential to have maybe a couple booms, but I don't know, man. I was really expecting a little bit more out of Brett's team. Yeah, losing Romo does hurt for sure, but he made a good pick in Dalton, who I think might have a better season. Even had them both been playing, might have had a better season than Romo.
Dalton's been amazing. 20, 24, and 32 the first 3 weeks. I mean, that's not a bad waiver wire pickup at all for anybody.
Yep. There goes my I dropped his ass, for I don't know what reason.
But if Alshon Jeffrey comes back healthy, and then he's sitting on John Brown as his number 2, and if Melvin Gordon does continue to kind of grow into that role,
all that has to happen an awful lot, though, for this to be a team where I'm like, this is a division winner or this is a wild card team.
Yeah, maybe. There definitely does. I mean, he's got a lot of fence guys for sure that need to pan out. But who doesn't,
So right now, do you think Brett can make any moves right now?
Yes. Teams that have given up, he's got tons of that potential is still there, and I think he can trade for higher priced guys.
I hope there's no teams that have given up at this point. I really do. I know some say they have, but I don't think any of them truly have. We're 3 weeks into the season. I really hope we're not in that kind of league. As far as moves he goes, I don't know.
Brett, I would love to make a couple of trades with you, buddy. You take a look at my team.
There you go. Yeah.
He's got a lot of buy low guys. I know that. Maybe folks like John Brown, Forsett,
Alshon Jeffrey,
Sammy Watkins, Alshon Jeffrey. I doubt he's trading Jeffrey.
I would not touch Jeffrey with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah,
I
would. I would. But
I would. Much shorter pole than that.
Hell, even Stafford's a buy low if you believe in Stafford at all, which I don't know that anybody does anymore. But
I used to, but now I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's trades to be made. He's got a lot of guys who people liked coming into the season, but are just not panning out. So let's get into our power rankings, guys, and close this thing out here.
Oh, hey, actually, a couple administrative things. I'll go over the minigame winners.
Thank you.
So week 1 was highest scoring bench. Sex Cannons, 77.9 points. $10 goes to Evan.
Shocker.
Week 2, highest scoring player. That is Big Ben. He narrowly beat my Tom Brady by just about 2 points. So Big Ben scores 33.5.
I thought Brady scored 49 points.
No, he didn't. And that goes to Watson. And highest scoring DST.
No more bonus points. Yay!
That would go to Andy for Arizona scoring 32 points last week. 32 points out of a defense. Let's bring up the rule book.
By the way, and losing. Yeah, that's the next thing I'm coming after is defensive scoring, because it's broken. It's broken in our league.
It's not broken.
It's broken.
It's half the team. Good ones get good points. There's separation. There's everything you want out of it. You leave it alone.
Okay. You know when I come after something, it gets changed, don't you?
Now is not the time, Merrill.
Now is not the time. Fair enough.
Oh, can I also say one more thing? Administrative is. Sure. I've had some difficult time figuring out how much money people have left in their waiver.
Yeah, where do you see that?
I have not been able to see it, and I find it.
I know I've seen it.
It's a pretty big deal as far as how you're going to bid, and I would really like to see it. So if anybody across the league knows where to find that, I think it would be a good service to the league to let people know.
Yeah, or just how to get to anything on this site in general would be nice. If anybody knows how to do that, that'd be great.
Let's see, total salary cap.
All right, while you're looking, Hillers, because it's exhilarating stuff. Anthony, why don't you start us off with your power ranking, starting at number 12?
I got them locked and loaded. Assassins, dude, you look terrible this week. You are at number 12. Next is PBJ. Next is PBJ time. 10th. TDJ. 9 goes to the Choops, 8 to the Duplex, and 7 to yours truly at EBS.
All right. I'll go next since Hillers is looking around for something. At 12, I have the Choop. At 11, I have PBJ. At 10, I've got the Duplex. At 9, I've got TDJ. At 8, I have the Dad Dicks. And at 7, I have Hiller's Trickery. And I'll just say that, man, it's hard right now to rank teams because I feel like there's like a top 3 or 4, and then
and then a big question mark all throughout the middle of the league.
The unwashed masses, like after that, it's just like everybody's kind of the same. So, all right, Hillers, what do you
At 12, I have... What happened? Oh, okay. At 12, I have the Choops. Just rough times there.
Yeah.
At 11, I have PBJ time. At 10, I have the Duplex. At 9, I've got Assassins. At 8, I have TDJ. Could go up, but right now 8. And at 7, the Dad Dicks.
You and I are very similar, Hillers. All right, Anthony.
All right, closing it out here. 6, I have the Dad Dicks. 5, I have Hiller's Trickery. 4 goes to the Weenie. 3 to the Widows. 2 to Iron Pirate, and 1 to the Sex Cannons. So boring.
All right, and I'll say I think honestly it was the top 3, and then after that I feel like is where it gets a little messy. But at 6 I have EBS. At 5 I've got the Weenie. I need to figure out those running back issues. At 4 I have the Assassins because I'm a believer, which I know is where we differ a lot in our power rankings.
That makes no sense.
I know it doesn't to you guys, but like I said, from 4 to 12 to me is like that's really hard to figure out. At 3 I have Iron Pirate. 2 I have myself, the Widows, and at 1 I have the Sex Cannons.
Okay, I may have... do you guys have on your page... let's see, where is it? Okay, so if
Just
I
take
go
your time.
into... Yeah, sorry. If I click on a team name, right? But part of the problem is...
How do you do that?
I have commission...
Yeah, how do you even do that?
Okay, so go to rosters, and there's probably a better... Oh, wait. Okay, on the left bar down the thing,
Right.
go to accounting.
Go to what?
Accounting?
It's under the league menu.
Accounting. Okay.
Is it there? Do you have that button?
Yeah.
Okay, that tells you how much everyone has spent.
Look at that. All right, the accounting link. Thank you, sir.
Ooh.
God,
Whoa.
I have no money left at all.
Yeah, none.
So-
I mean, what? You can't complain about what you bought there.
No, I can't. But Jesus. All right, Hillers. 6 to 1.
6 to 1. Let's see. The Weenie are 6, and I'm expecting them to move up. Actually, I've got myself at 5 because I typically hover around that area.
Yeah, that's where you be.
I've got Black Widows at 4, EBS at 3, Sex Cannons at 2, and Iron Pirates at 1.
Whoa, Nick.
It makes me happy that Evan is not unanimously number 1.
Yeah,
I don't know why. I think
even though
it's
Hiller's
just-
rankings are completely insane.
Evan, I'm sorry.
The bottom
There's a
half,
lot
you
of-
said we were alike. How far off could we
Not
have
the
been?
bottom half. Well, 4 through 12 is unwashed masses to me in my power rankings, so they're like flip a coin. But yeah. All right, you guys all done? Got nothing left?
No.
Yeah.
Although I'd like some credit for figuring out where that is without having known it. Like,
Way to go, Commish.
while we're on the... Yeah, thank you.
It's not like you run the league or anything.
Well, this is complicated. This thing has so many menus.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anyway, accounting. If you want to know how much people have spent.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I'm not going to rail on the site too much because I know Nick gets upset. So, it's his
We've
video.
had a number of complaints. We can talk about switching back next year,
Yeah.
prior to the draft next year.
All right. Well, let's close it out then, boys. For Anthony, for Hillers, this is me saying we'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for listening.